After Babur, Humayun ascended the throne. So after his death, that means Babur was succeeded by his son Nasiruddin Muhammad, better known as Humayun. So what is the other name of Humayun? It is the Nasiruddin Muhammad. So after the death of the Babur, his son Nasiruddin Muhammad, which is Humayun, he ascended the throne in 1530 CE. He faced a series of problems after ascending the throne. So once he ascended the throne of Mughal Empire, he faced a lot of problems. His father had divided the annexed territories between him and his brother. So what did the Babur did before he died? He divided the whole territories which were captured by the Babur into two parts. That is between him. That means half part belonged to Humayun and half part belonged to his brothers. Among his brothers, Kamran got Kabul and Kandahar. So what did Babur did that he divided the territory so that there will be no conflict among his son after his death. So Kamran got the Kabul and Kandahar region, Askari got the Sambal, Hindal got Alwar and Mewat. Kamran, the most ambitious of all his brothers, never let him live in peace. So Kamran was the eldermost son of the Babur, and he was a very ambitious person, and due to which uh, uh, he never you can say whatever he do according to his own will. Whatever his father, that means Babu, suggested him to do during any situation in the empire, he used to do the complete opposite. That's why Babur was not in peace, or he used to always be in a stress situation because of Kamran. Moreover, Humayun had to face the hostility of the Afghans led by Sher Shah Suri and Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat. So moreover, Humayun, he had to face the, you can say, problems created by Afghans, that is Sher Shah Suri and Bahadur Suri. Okay, though Bahadur Shah was the ruler of Gujarat. Though Humayun was initially successful against both of them, Bahadur Shah soon wrested back Gujarat and Malwa. So though Humayun was more stronger than as compared to Bahadur Shah and Sher Shah Suri, so but still they were, that means both the Sesa Suri and Bahadur Shah were trying to defeat the Humayun and capture the areas of Mughal Empire. So Bahadur Shah soon surrendered the Gujarat and Malwa portion to Humayun. Sher Shah proved to be a more formidable enemy as he defeated Humayun decisively in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj in 1539 CE and 1540 CE respectively. Though Bahadur Shah he surrendered the areas of Gujarat and Malwa to Humayun, but Sher Shah Suri was a very, you can say, brilliant army, and he was one of the you can say dangerous enemy of the Humayun. So finally, Humayun was defeated by the Sher Shah in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj in the year 1539 CE and 1540 CE respectively. These defeat forced Humayun to flee to Kabul and thereafter Persia, where he took shelter under the Safavid Shah Tahmasp. So finally he was defeated in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj by the Sesa. Okay, so that means the Humayun, he flew to Kabul, and after living some time in the Kabul, he went to Persia, where he took shelter under the Safavid Shah Tahmasp. Okay. Next, after defeating the Humayun, Sher Shah was the you can say emperor of the Indian subcontinent. Sher Shah and the Sood dynasty. Sher Shah Suri, also called Sher Khan. So what is the other name of Sher Shah Suri? It is the Sher Khan. Remember, it was the son of a small Jagirdar from Jaunpur. So he was the son of small Jagirdar. That means a small landlord from Jaunpur. His original name was Farid Khan. So what was the original name of Sher Shah Suri? It was Farid Khan. Remember it. In his youth, he killed a tiger with his bare hand. So he was a very courageous person. Okay, and in the youth he had killed a tiger with his hand. He emerged as a strong ruler of Bihar and occupied the throne of Delhi in 1540 by defeating the Mughal Emperor Humayun. So, he emerged as a strong ruler of Bihar, and later on he defeated the Humayun uh, in the battle of Chausa and Kannauj in the year 1544, and finally he ascended the throne of Delhi. Sher Shah ruled a vast territory expanding from river Jhelum in the west to the river Brahmaputra in the east, the Indus and the Himalayas in the north excluding Kashmir, Malwa and Rajasthan, to river Narmada in central India. So these are the areas where the you can say Sher Shah had extended his territory. Okay, the administrative system was well organized under him. So the administrative system, that means the rules and regulation was organized in a very systematic way under him. He paid great attention to the growth of trade and commerce. So he basically paid more attention to the trade and commerce, that means business, buying and selling of items, improvement of communication, that means improvement of communication in the sense uh, in giving importance to the languages so that we can communicate with one person. Okay, and organization of the army. So he had also made a great well disciplined army. The welfare of the people was one of his prime concerns. So he's one of the main you can say objective was to make such rules and regulations so that all the people can live peacefully in his empire. Most of his reform reflected these concerns. So most of the different types of measures which the Sher Shah Suri had done reflect that he wants to keep his people happy and keep them safe in his territory. Sher Shah Suri is also credited with. So as you can see in this picture, the tomb of Sher Shah Suri located in Sasaram, Bihar. So this is the tomb of Sher Shah Suri located in Sasaram, which is in at present Bihar. Sher Shah Suri is also credited with having reformed the currency system, making it uniform in nature. So he was the person who had introduced the currency system and it was made in a uniform in nature, that means systematic in uh, that means he used to use this currency in a systematic or a disciplined way. He struck the coins called rupiah, made up of gold, silver and copper in place of the mixed metal coins. So earlier mixed metal coins were used, okay, but he had implemented rupiah, which was made up of gold, silver and copper. He built an excellent network of roads known as the Grand Trunk Road. So he was the person who had made the great, or you can say excellent network of roads known as the Grand Trunk Road. The GT road, that means the Grand Trunk Road, is still is in use both in India and Pakistan. So it was a road connected between India and Pakistan and still we use this road. He built series throughout his empire for the convenience of travelers and ensured the safety of roads and highways. So he had built different types of series, that means guest house, that means or you can say rest house, where the people who are traveling from one place to another, they can rest in these building and then they can continue their journey. So why he had made these areas? So that it will be convenience of traveler, that means the traveler do not face any problem, especially at night, to find a shelter, and it also ensure the safety of roadsway and highways. Okay, all the things are available in this building. Administration under Sher Shah, great as a conqueror that he was, Sher Shah was greater still as a ruler. He was the first Muslim ruler of India who displayed a real aptitude for civil government. So he was the first Muslim ruler who had shows his interest displays, that means he shows his interest in order to make a civil government, that means systematic form of government. His short rule was marked by many beneficent reform in every branch of administration. So though he had ruled for very short period of time, but he had made lots of different types of you can say arrangements so that all the people during his time, that means during his reign, were happy. For administrative convenience, Sher Shah divided his whole empire into 47 divisions known as sarkars. Sher Shah did not divide his kingdom into provinces. So in order to rule the whole area, he had divided his whole empire into 47 divisions known as sarkars. That means he does not divided his kingdom into provinces, but sarkars who will, and their duty will be in order to look the different types of you can say arrangements and provide different types of arrangement and all, and to look whether the people are living peacefully or not. And these were again subdivided into smaller administrative units called parganas. So okay, so these are the two you can say introduction or measures which were done by the Sher Shah. In the field of central administration, Sher Shah followed the Sultanate pattern. There were four main central departments which were as follows. So he had divided or had made, or you can say he had divided his central department into four categories. They were Diwan-e-Wizarat. This department was created to handle financial matters such as collecting tax and maintaining accounts of the state exchequer. So Diwan-e-Wizarat is a department where its duty is to handle the financial matter, that means to look the matter related to money, such as collecting the taxes from the people and maintaining an accounts of how many expenses were done in his territory. Diwan-e-Arz, headed by Ariz-e-Mamalik, it was a military department. So this was a military department where the soldiers were given training. Okay, Diwan-e-Insha, working as a secretariat, it issued royal order. The head of this department was the Dabir. So this is a department where royal orders were issued. That means, for example, different types of message were issued from this department. Okay, which was for example, that means if Sher Shah want to announce something in the you can say in his territory, so he will say in this department and they will issue the royal order, and this message will be informed to normal citizens of the empire. Diwan-e-Rasalat, headed by Sadr, these department dealt with the religious and foreign affair matters. So this department deals with the religious activity and the foreign affairs matter. That means deals with the other kingdoms. That means if there is any issue like who is plotting against their territory, these all things were discussed in this department. Diwan-e-Qaza, headed by Qazi, worked under this department. The Qazi looked after judicial administration. So there was in the Diwan-e-Rasalat itself, there was a Diwan-e-Qaza and it was headed by Qazi. His work is to look after the judicial administration. That means who is committing crime, if anybody is committing crime, what kind of punishment will be given, and if he is facing any problem, he will consult with the Sher Shah Suri and later on the decision will be announced. There were two important officials at the Sarkar level. First is Sikadaran, to maintain law and order. So their duty is to maintain law and order in the territory. Next is Munsifan, to supervise the revenue collection. That means this department work is to look after whether the taxes are collected in a systematic manner or not, and if not, then they will take the action so that the taxes, that means the revenue, are collected in a systematic way.